Hello, everybody. Andrew Anderson with the Longer Crowbar here, and I'm with the lovely Mrs. Anna
Ditchburn.
There we go, that part. And I just had the pleasure of interviewing your husband, or at least chatting with him. I don't think it was an interview. And so I know that you and he have this like magical, for me anyway, relationship, and how I met you and like all these circumstances and stuff. So why don't you tell people what you do, which I think is amazing, to help them.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for having me. Such a
You're
pleasure and such an honor. You know, when some women have everything on the outside in their life, they have a good job or business, they have a family, they have a house, they have a great car, they have money on their bank account, but there is something missing in their life. There is something that they can feel, they can do more, they can have more, they can have a better relationships with their significant others, or they can find a man of their dreams. So I'm helping women to achieve what they want to achieve in their life, to have their dream life. And if they're single, to attract the man of their dreams. Or if they're having a relationship, to improve those relationships in a level that they want, that they desire.
Okay. Do you work with men at all, or is it just women?
I do.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that's out there. So basically you can help a man or woman find the person of their dreams.
Yeah.
And if they're with someone, you're going to be able to help their relationships.
Absolutely.
Okay, much better. And I believe you, but that you've never heard of or spoken with Anna before. So as a direct result of this, and I always come back to, gain more leverage in health, wealth, and happiness, because they're all three tied together. How does having that relationship help with making more money and everything else? And I mean, I'm not being flippant with that question. So why don't you explain how those two intertwine?
Well, let me give you an example. 5 years ago, I would say 6 years ago, I was a successful woman on the outside. I was married at those time. I had a great job. We purchased the house. I had a good job. I was driving a luxury car. But, outside, if you meet me, like everything is perfect. But inside, I was getting destroyed by these feelings of loneliness, of fear, of something is missing, that it feels like something just holding me back, because I knew I had a much greater potential. And when I started to look what is inside, what is happening inside me, I realized I'm not fulfilled. I'm not free of some of the feelings that I was experiencing from my childhood, from my past. And I wasn't satisfied in my relationships on the level that I wanted. Even though, everything was fine, I felt like I wasn't supported by my ex-husband. I wasn't getting those kind of level of communications with my ex-husband that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to the point that I realized actually that I was in abusive relationships. I was in relationships where I could not speak up freely. I could not share my ideas, or I could not share my feelings without knowing that I would be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into a very depressive state, actually. I became very suicidal because I thought if I would leave this relationship, I was in a foreign country. I moved from Russia to Australia for love. I didn't really have many friends at those times because my ex-husband wanted me to be, sitting at home, being wife who is cooking, cleaning, and looking after the house. And I I didn't know what's gonna happen if I leave these relationships, what people will think about me. And so I became suicidal, and I just wanted to end this cycle of struggle and find this peace that I was desperately looking for.
So you didn't have any family or anybody else there?
I was by myself.
Oh, wow.
And I was literally ready to kill myself. I was holding these sleeping pills in my hand and a glass of water in another hand. And my mom called me just out of the blue. And she...
When you had
was literally sitting on the couch, ready to leave this world.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, what is happening? I feel like something is happening. We have a really great connection with my mom. And I said, Mom, I can't live like this anymore. If you won't hear from me, just know I love you.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. She knew a little bit what was happening. And she said, Anna, before you do anything to yourself, I want you to promise me one thing. I was like, what is it, Mom? She said, I want you to write the list of your ideal man, of the relationships that you want. And I was like, this is all BS, Mom. I don't believe all men are the same. All the relationships are the same. And I had this belief because I was in so many toxic relationships. And so I didn't know better. And I just thought I'm not worthy anything better. But I did, I promise her. And I sat down and I started to write the list of my ideal man. And I wrote, he's bald, he's a New Zealander, he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs. He's very charismatic, very honest, very loyal. He has an amazing sense of humor. We love traveling
Wonder
together.
who that could be.
We are traveling every 3 months across the world. And it was many more things. But then as I was writing this list, something was happening inside me. My whole being started to sort of changing. And then I looked at this list and I thought to myself, does this person even exist? But knowing through my journey, through my healing and what I went through my childhood, if you're interested, we can share here. I knew I have to believe. The belief is one of the main things that you have to hold no matter what. And Andrew, I started to believe, and then I asked myself, what kind of woman do I have to become to be able to attract this man into my life?
So did this all happen at the same time? So you wrote down, your mom asked you to write down this list of the quote unquote perfect man. And then what was this time period over? You sit down at a table and do it, or was this like a couple of weeks, or?
I sat down and I did this straight away.
So the same day?
Same day.
So the same day you get done writing your list, and then, because I think this is important, then you ask yourself, what type of woman do I need to become to attract that type of man? Was that it?
Exactly. Okay. Because I looked at myself, and during this marriage, I was married for 5 years. During this marriage, I just turned into this woman who was constantly tired, constantly worrying, thinking about only cleaning, cooking, doing the shopping. And I lost this spark in my eyes.
Right.
I lost my feminine energy that I used to have. And I thought, that's not kind of woman who will attract higher caliber men in my life.
Right.
And you know what I did first? I was like, I just need to stop pleasing people who are around me, who are around myself, like my ex-husband, his family, my colleagues. What do I want? How do I want to feel? And I knew exactly what I want. And I remember I signed up for a gym. I haven't been exercising for a long time. I put a lot of weight. Like what you see now, it's completely different Anna. And I started doing some practice on returning back my feminine energy, my sexuality, my energy in general. And a week and a half later,
10 days.
10 days,
Yeah.
my whole being changed. My even walk, the way how I walk has changed.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't hunting, not at all.
Well, you were just starting to feel good about yourself again.
I started to feel
get your own
good.
self-worth back. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
My confidence started to rise. So once my confidence went through the roof, I was able to present myself differently. I was able to feel myself differently. I show up into this world differently. And 10 days later, the man of my dreams, a bold New Zealander who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs, who's very loyal, very honest, stopped me in the middle of the day on the street of Melbourne, Australia. And I remember he was walking right towards me, and he came closer and he looked right at my eyes and he said, "Excuse me, but you are stunning. And I wonder if you would like to have a drink with me one day." And I said, "You look good too." He looked like $1 million, honestly. So, but my point is, when I met Laban, my husband, I was already kind of separating with my ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
We were living in the same house, but in a different rooms. So we didn't have any relationship for a year. That's why I was really
that would
struggling.
make you miserable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. My self-confidence, my self-worth was going even lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I need to do something with myself, because you know what's happening, Andrew, in the relationships. Everything 10x. Everything 10x in a relationship, whether it's loving relationships or business relationships. If you are going into the relationship for love, if you are seeking joy, if you are seeking pleasure in the relationships, if you feel like you are lacking it, guess what? Your lack of happiness and joy and love will 10x. Your partner will mirror your lack of happiness and joy. And you will be even more miserable, even more unhappy in your relationship. So you go into the relationships to love. And I knew, knowing this principle, I knew I have to love myself first. I have to make myself happy first on the inside. And so when I met this amazing man, we've been together now for 5 years, my life has changed completely. Firstly, the level of love, the level of affection, the level of support he's providing me helped me really blossom, thrive in my relationships that I've never thought I will experience again. And now we literally became a purpose partners with the similar goals. We still have our own stuff, our own podcasts and, clients and interests. But what we do is most of the time is together. So we share this vision, we share our goals together. And when you're together, when you're a couple, when you're purpose partners, everything just 10x in your life, even maybe 100x.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's kind of rare though. So I want to step back a little bit. So when you were separated from your ex, you were living in basically in the same house, but you're strangers, and then your self-esteem went down. Is that when you gained weight and felt bad about yourself? And is that that's what was going on? You said you wasn't working out or anything.
I started gaining weight probably at the very beginning of those relationships.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, can I share some story with you?
You can share anything you want.
I went through a childhood sexual abuse by my stepfather.
Oh, wow.
And my stepfather was very dominant, very abusive, very manipulative person.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, that there is something different exists. I saw the relationship with my mother, where she was totally subservient, totally codependent on these relationships. And I thought I will literally end up in a similar relationships like she did, which I did.
Wow.
I literally married my stepfather, just a bit younger, because how I realized that I knew what my ex-husband would say, because that's what my stepfather used to say.
Wow.
And I haven't realized it at the very beginning, but all those things that my ex-husband was doing was causing me emotional discomfort, and I was constantly
right. But you were used to it, though. You were used to that, and that's what normal was, and so that's what that's what your brain and your body and everything else had trained to be normal. So you're obviously going to seek that subconsciously, whether you know it or not. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and when I finally realized what kind of relationships I am, that's when my depression started. That's why I started.
Oh, you figured out what you were doing? That the pattern was, okay, wow, yeah.
I saw it a year before I met my husband. But I wanted to save those relationships, like my mom used to do. Yeah. I didn't want to become a failure.
Yeah.
Or I didn't want people think that, I can't keep my marriage together. And so every time I would just go down and down and down. Mm-hmm. And it's very important for women to know there are men who will love you, who will support you, who will carry you like you are the most precious thing in this world. But in terms of meeting this man, you need to become a woman who loves herself, who cherishes herself, who supports herself, who literally cherishes herself as the most precious things, because you cannot attract this in your life until it's within you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, so you have to get to, so you said you figured out the man of your dreams, everything that you wanted. And then I think this is the most important part. You figured out what you need to do to become that person that would attract the man of your dreams. Because high-level people, and I'm just going to use that as a term, high-level people are not attracted to low-level people. And if someone's ambitious and the other person's lazy and everything else, they're never going to keep them. You may attract them for a minute, but you're never going to keep them. Because once you figure out your own self-worth, you're not going to settle. I mean, after with Laban, it makes everybody else look like, what was I doing, right? I mean, you'll never accept that again. And you have to get there before you're going to attract the other person. Is that basically it? Once you get there where you're the person that you've come up with to attract the other person, then that's the only time you're ever going to be able to attract that person, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, you might be able to meet a higher level man or woman,
right?
But your energies won't be right, and it's just a matter of a very short period of time when you just break up. Because what's happening, for example, with men, when they don't feel like they are worthy of this woman, when they have a low self-esteem or low confidence, there is a feeling of insecurity is happening. And when man feels insecure with this woman, what he's trying to do, he's trying to control her. He's trying to bring her down. Same with women as well.
Yeah.
They're trying to control a man. They try to bring them down emotionally on the level that they can handle them.
Right. Yeah.
But
so it's their own insecurities wanting to drag them down, right? Yeah, and I can attest to this. the high level people that I get to hang around with, none of them ever want to bring you down. They will help you go up, but they never want to bring you down, ever. I mean, even in the language that they use and everything else. So yeah,
that's the secret of the happy and healthy and meaningful and deep relationships.
Right.
When both people are supporting each other and up-leveling each other. And what is happening, because we want it for each other, because I feel like I'm full. What is happening in our relationship with Laban, when someone is feeling like a little bit down or unmotivated, another person comes and up-level them. And then it goes together. We just up-leveling each other.
Right.
And you know how they say, behind every successful man is a strong woman.
Right. And vice versa.
And vice versa. I agree.
If it's a truly healthy relationship, it's both. They may not be in the forefront, but they're back there supporting the person.
I would never, ever do what I'm doing right now, coaching people, helping people to find their ideal partners, speaking on a podcast, if it wouldn't be for Laban.
Right.
Never, ever, Andrew.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, you guys are just a blast to hang around, and I see all the things that you have going on and where you're going, and it's amazing, folks. Keep an eye on Anna and Laban and the Purpose Partners for Life. For life, yeah. So one of the things is, and you were talking about you had gone through and you weren't fulfilling yourself, and trying to help other people, and it just didn't work out and it just led you to depression. So it reminds me of a quote that I had. It's capitulation of oneself in order to please another. In the end, pleases no one, because you were just trying to please them, but you weren't, you weren't letting yourself feel like that you're contributing, and you were doing things you didn't want to do. So I think that inevitably it ends up in a horror show of epic proportions sometimes. What I'm kind of amazed at is, what do you think went into the transition? Because basically you're telling me, and as you told us, and I absolutely believe you, that, okay, so it took you a year to get to the point where you were fed up with everything, right? So you just finally had enough, and then you were ready to not take the positive way out. You were ready to basically kill yourself. Your mom called, because she knew, and there's a whole theory on that's explained in quantum theory on that, the OR principle. I'll talk to you about that later. So she knew that, she stopped you, and then you switched it around, and then it was basically 10 days later, Laban came into your life? Wow. Okay. I mean, that's a great transition. I don't know where you got.
It's not so easy. It's more complex.
I know it's not easy. Yes, I know it's not easy, and no one I wouldn't want to get to the point where I'm going to kill myself to find whoever you are out there, my love of my life. I'm not going to do that. Just forget it. No. So, but I mean, I find that whole transition kind of amazing.
There is a point when you have to decide, actually. When I was writing the list of my ideal partner, when something was just started changing in me, and I started to imagining being next to this person, I had to decide that I do want this relationship. Because, Andrew, so many people, they want, but they always back up because it's scary.
Right. It is.
You don't know what to expect. And plus, all your limiting belief, in the back of your head are telling you, no, this is too good to be true. You're not deserving.
Right. Yeah, that's important.
It's going to be the same at some point,
Because you've had so many relationships.
I'm too old, I'm too fat, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not, young enough.
So in the interview with your husband, Laban, I'd asked him a little bit about this, but he said you'd had one of your clients, and they have trainings and consulting and stuff on this stuff, though, that he had been without someone for 30 or 35 years. She. Okay, go ahead. Can you mind telling me about that a little bit without? We don't want to embarrass her or anything. Yeah.
So she's an amazing woman. She has been coaching and speaking, and she has her radio show and few podcasts.
Wow. So
She
this
wrote
is
12
a successful.
very successful.
Okay, cool.
Very successful.
Right.
She has she wrote 12 books
Holy moly.
on wealth.
Yeah.
And she has a beautiful 4 children. So her I would say challenge was she separated with her husband when she was in her 30s, and she put all her attention and all her energy onto providing for her family,
Which is great, actually. It's noble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On developing business, growing her children. And what women do very often, they put their needs behind. They don't understand that the happier women are, the better everything is around. And so they try to put all the attention into the kids' family business, which is really good. And 35 years later, she realized that she was missing to feel loved, to wake up with someone in the morning who can tell her the same, I love you, who can hug her. And it's very important for us women to have a man, because it makes us feel as a woman. It keeps us, to live, to
right.
thrive.
It keeps you whole, right?
Yes. And she didn't want to have anyone in her family because she thought it will disrupt her business and it will disrupt her children. But then what was happening? You are being single, giving an example to your children.
Yeah.
That man is something that is disrupting you in your
Right. There's a
your
disconnect.
Life. There is a disconnect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And then your children do not want to develop those kind of relationships because they can feel you.
Right.
They can feel that there is, if you want to become successful, that you don't need a relationship. You can't have a relationship, which is, I'm saying that if you want to be a successful in your life, you must have a good, deep, loving, and meaningful relationships. I'm not talking about toxic relationships,
right,
which sucks your energy out. No, but exactly attracting a person who will level you up and who will grow together.
Right. And then again, that will multiply whatever you've got going on, even if you're a highly successful man or woman, when you get that right. So just out of curiosity, how long was that transition from when she met you and took your course or went through the training or whatever? How long was that before she found her quote unquote man?
It was about 3 months.
3 months? Oh, wow. Okay. 90 days. So ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to keep on going on. I don't know what's Tinder and Facebook media, or I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there now, and go on, 1,000 bad dates again, get a hold of.
Exhausting.
Oh yeah. I didn't even think about it. It's just crazy.
Let me tell you very quick. I'm not a supporter of this online dating.
Yeah. Okay.
But do whatever you need to do. What I'm teaching women is to become this magnetic, this attractive, feminine woman who will attract the perfect man in her life. Because you know what's happening? Our subconscious, Andrew, is like a genie from Aladdin.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's literally saying you, yes, master. Whatever you're telling yourself, yes, master. If you're saying to yourself, I'm not worthy of this relationship, guess what? Your subconscious
will make sure that happens.
Make sure, make sure you won't meet anyone.
Right.
When you decide and when you become this woman who can attract a man of your dreams, and by the way, you're creating him in the process, because we have this power of being a creator, like similar to God.
Right.
When you tell God what you want, and when you really decide that you do want, the opportunities, the right time, the right people, the right place everything will start aligning in your life. That's how it works. You don't have to do anything
Right.
much.
And it won't take years. Maybe. It could just be a few weeks or a few months, right?
It depends on the person.
Right. It depends how much work you do on yourself and everything
My
else.
principles work fast.
And I've seen them work too. So yeah, it's really cool. So one of the funny things is, and I've thought about this before, is that, you and Laban are helping couples and individuals do this. You're actually married. What I find funny is I see all these guys out there, how to pick up women, and even the women offering advice. They're not flipping married. It's like, well, why do I want to take advice from a broke person on how to make $10 million when you can't even help yourself, So I find that refreshing. I just sit there and shake my head. So all these relationship people aren't happily married. So how do they find out more about Anna Ditchburn? There we go.
So you can check our website, purposepartnersforlife.com, or you can find our YouTube channel, Purpose Partners for Life, we just recently started.
Yes, that's good. Bravo.
You can visit my website. It's annaditchburn.com.
How do you spell Ditchburn?
It's DITCHBURN.
There we go.
Dig a ditch and
Yep.
burn.
Anna, 2 N's or 1 N?
2 N's.
2 N's. Okay.
ANNA.
All right. Cool. And then, of course, you'll see this on the Longer Crowbar channel. Thank you. Do you want anything else? I don't want to rush you. This has been fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah, it has. I told you. Don't act so surprised. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great. It is. It's great. Maybe one more thing. So what's a practical tip that you could give them, they can walk away with, that they could go use today? Just one little thing. Do you have anything off the top of your head?
The only thing I would say, have a look on your relationships, or if you're single, have a look on what are the challenges you are having finding your ideal person. What is holding you back? Because most of the time we don't need to do much. We just need to take the layers of shame or pain, limiting beliefs off, in terms of let the best version of ourselves to step into this confidence, into this beautiful, magnetic, and feminine energy. So it's very important to know what is here that is holding or preventing me from meeting my ideal person, or what is preventing me from having this deep and meaningful relationship, and then work on this and ask for help. I became a hypnotherapist because hypnotherapy really helped me to uncover what are my biggest limiting beliefs, what are my blocks. And once I was able to get rid of them, to eliminate them, that's where everything has changed. Okay,
so I guess one more question. So would you say that lack of self-esteem is like the precursor for all of this?
I would say everything is because of lack of self-esteem.
So lack of partner, lack of money, lack of happiness, lack of fulfillment?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because people, maybe without even realizing it, they feel like they're not worthy.
Right.
Those kind of money, those kind of relationship, wealth and health.
That's it. And as Bob Newhart said, just stop it. Just stop it. Really, just stop it. You've got to get over that fact, because you are supposed to be happy. You're supposed to not be broke as enough to choke. And you're supposed to have a loving partner out there. You don't have to be old and lonely or young and lonely, but you've got to get your act together. Go on Anna and Laban's site. And if you're tired of being alone and not waking up, having the love of your life wake up next to you and dreaming about them, and poof, there they are. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, it was a pleasure. And that's a wrap. So check us out. Do all the YouTube things. at thelongercrowbar.com, where we give you leverage in health, wealth, and happiness. And I think Anna covered all three and then some on this one. So thanks for watching us, and look for the next one. See you.